It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're back live on the big mountain.
It's a great day.
Woo!
The Mountain West has a pretty damn good media deal. We're going to talk about that at the end of the live show, Steve.
Isn't it exciting to talk about something like some progress, something that's going to give us some idea of what college football is going to look like next year for the Mountain West?
I am extremely excited about it. I was tweeting a lot yesterday. I put out a video earlier today, kind of going over some things. Got some more information today as well after the video was released. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And it's good to have you back because I rolled a solo last week.
Yeah, I had some stuff going on. It's cold here in central Pennsylvania.
Local.
Yeah. And I had some other things going on. So I was sad to miss the show, but you did a good job riding solo. And you went long. You had some stamina.
Well, you know what? I got Bill on with me, and
Bill's
we
great.
just had a good time. And then I got into the comments, and before I knew it, I was almost at 2 hours.
What's funny is we've been talking about trying to have Bill on again sometime and talk to him because he's always great to talk to, and it just happened to work out.
I agree. It was a last-minute call for anybody that could call in. We had one of our members call in, James, and Bill said he was available, and he had some good intel as well. So
Bill's great.
Let's do some hellos. We've got Moses saying hello to everyone. We've got, of course, the official Happy Hump Day, fellas and ladies, from our man, another member of the channel, Las Vegas, Laria in Gloria, we trust as well. Bill is in the house. He says hello to everyone. See who else we got up here. They're going back and forth. Tyler's here saying hi. He's, of course, a Bison fan. And Rumblings is back. Odd thought, are there any mountains in PA? We call them mountains, the Appalachian Mountains.
Yes.
But those people in the West, the Mountain West, the
big mountains,
they think what we have are small little hills.
Yeah. Well, ours are the oldest mountains in the world. And they've been worn down. They're showing a little bit of wear. They're a little bit more round and smaller than those big Rocky Mountains out there.
Skiing is slightly different here than it is out there. Although they get some good skiing up in like Vermont and stuff.
Yes,
That's where a lot of people go. They go up to, Vermont and whatnot.
But yeah, we're right in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains. So it's, there's definitely mountains here.
There's some mountains.
Not those high peaks like they got out there.
That's true. All right. Well, good to have you all with us. We already got 30 people on, which is really good for us to start a show. May get, of course, some more of the late arrivals, the Western folk.
Yeah.
And of course, I always try to save whether it's the Mountain West picks or other Mountain West items to the second half of the show to try and allow people more time to jump on.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Get our Eastern folks in early and the Western folks as they can make it and hop on. I see who else. So we already said Bill's here.
Yep.
And he's talking about a little bit of
Toledo intel tonight, he says. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if he's going to drop that in the chat or if he's going to have his own, video come out or what's going on. But some interesting stuff there from Bill. So, we gave our producer another night off. I said it's going to be a lot of JY and Steve just talkie. He's the guy that does all the pick stuff and getting all that. I said it's going to be a little lame tonight because we don't have a lot of slides or anything. So we gave him a night off. He could stay in his warm house. And okay, Bill's going to chat. All right, let's save that for a little bit later, Bill. Thank you so much. Anxious for that. Steve, we put out an episode, it was last week.
Yeah.
And we kind of did one long episode, and I spliced it into two.
Yep.
And the second part of that episode was this Super League discussion, along with Pitt, along with Michigan. You had some Notre Dame chatter in there, and you got some comments about that episode.
Well, the funny part was that the second episode, the one you're talking about, was supposed to be like kind of the end of our previous episode that we had done, and it was just kind of four things, kind of not really throwaway things, but things I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, we got a ton of comments, remarks. I threw some stuff out there about Pitt, and they don't even really fit into our normal show, but we got a lot of comments about it. Some Michigan comments, Notre Dame comments, USC stuff. I mean, it was a lot of activity going on with that one.
We have another one that says Rutgers is broke too.
Yes, yeah.
That wasn't on the agenda, but Atomic Skull. I haven't seen Atomic Skull in the chat for a little while, but I think you wanted to focus on Pitt. Do you want to go right into them? You want me to pull them up?
Yeah, let's go. So we have 4 comments on the we used to try and say, hey, we were going to answer every single comment. Well, now that we got 6,000 subscribers and all these people it's a little hard, but we're going to have 4 up here. We're going to put on the screen. JY is going to read them to me.
Yeah.
The first one's a little bit of a hard hitter, but I'm going to try and give my thoughts on all 4 of these questions.
All right. This is Gary Landerfeld. He says, everything you just said regarding the financial state of the University of Pittsburgh was a complete fabrication.
Yes.
I want to hear about this.
Comes
Steve.
out of swinging hard.
He says you are fabricating things. He says Pittsburgh has an endowment of $5.804 billion, the 8th highest among all public universities and 29th overall for all public and private universities. Pitt's endowment is more than $1 billion more than Penn State's, which is $1.4769 billion. In 2025, Athletic Director Alan Green raised a record dollar amount for donations for the University Athletic Department. Every public university in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania requested additional funding from the state over the last several years, not just Pittsburgh. The $240 million Victory Heights project, I think he spelled that wrong, but that's okay. I spell things wrong all the time, to house Olympic sports is nearly complete and will include both practice and competition facilities for wrestling, volleyball, and gymnastics. It hardly sounds as if Pitt is broke or planning on disbanding Olympic sports. Please refrain from commenting on subject matter you know nothing about and reveal your so-called sources. I imagine you actually don't have any. This is clickbait and a hit job on the University of Pittsburgh from a Penn State shill.
I love it.
Woohoo! That's a great comment.
Oh, I love it.
We can completely I want you. Why am I talking? The comment was for you. Awesome comment. Go.
So before I answer that comment, I want to point out, so our good friend of the show, David Jorgensen, comments, and he says, people kill me when they're talking about endowments. Schools do not control endowment money. Okay.
I think you want to talk about that.
Yeah, that leads me to my first point. So, and I agree completely with David Jorgensen. And I had no idea he was going to put that comment in.
Sure.
But I was already going to talk about this. 99.9% of fans have no idea what endowments really mean, what they are, how they operate. Even people who are relatively knowledgeable. It's just, if you don't work in higher ed, you don't fully understand how, what they are. So let's educate everyone a little bit. So here's the thing.
Education lessons from Steve.
Yes. And so I do work in higher education. We'll say compliance and oversight for this in the state of Pennsylvania. And that includes all public and all private schools in Pennsylvania. And one of the things I do is ensure financial stability for colleges, universities, technical schools, things like that. So I do kind of know what I'm talking about, at least a little bit, maybe a little bit. But anyway, so endowments for everyone's kind of knowledge, most endowments are heavily restricted. There's unrestricted endowments and there's restricted. 99% of endowment money is restricted, sometimes heavily restricted. So you have sports endowments where people they want to support a field hockey program, or let's say women's volleyball at Pitt or field hockey at Penn State, whatever. They'll donate a certain amount of money, and that money is to be used for that sport. Right. They can put any conditions that they want on it, or they can make it unrestricted, and just the only restriction would be to use it for that sport. But when we talk about $1 billion endowments, $2 billion, $5 billion endowments, most of that money is completely restricted. Usually, the majority of that money will be monies that are put into different accounts and funds that are supposed to maximize the interest. And the only money that school gets usually is the interest from there. But again, 99% of the time, that money can only be used for the university for academic purposes, for what they do get. And, there are situations where I've seen, a school is about to shut its doors, which obviously the University of Pittsburgh is not ready to close and shut its doors. It's a state school, they call it state-related school in Pennsylvania. They get a huge amount of money from the state every year, and yes, they have a huge endowment. And when I say Pitt is broke, I don't mean they're going to shut their doors tomorrow and the kids aren't going to be able to go to class. What I mean is their athletic programs have really suffered. They have gotten basically level funding from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania since I think about 2002. When you look at their funding, and we know how higher education costs have soared and exploded since then, but they're really getting about the same funding that they got in the early 2000s. It went up for a little bit and then back down and has now been flat. So they are trying to compete with these other colleges and universities of the Power Four, ACC schools, Big Ten schools. They're trying to compete academically. They're trying to compete athletically on all platforms. But their money is being kind of, I won't say completely cut off, but restricted.
Sure.
And yes, they have this huge endowment, but if they're not getting enough money from the ACC to support, I think they support like 26 sports or something. They can't just use their $5 billion endowment to save the, women's volleyball program or the men's golf team or whatever, because those monies are restricted. So really saying that a school has $5 billion in endowment, so that has absolutely nothing to do with the Olympic sports programs. And really the way, and I think most fans do understand this part, at pretty much every Power Four level schools, and I would say most FBS schools, football is basically making money. Football and basketball, they are the revenue sports. They are making money, and the extra money, like basically not the extra money, but they're funding not only their own programs but all of these Olympic programs, because very few Olympic programs break even. They try to break even, come close to that, but very few break even. And the simple fact is Pitt has been getting less and less money. Well, not less compared to their other Power Four peers that they're competing. They're falling behind the Big Ten schools, SEC schools that they've been used to competing with, and frankly, even schools in their own conference. University of Miami went to the national championship game. They got to keep all with the way the revenue is set up right now in the ACC, the revenue distribution. They got to keep the entire amount of money that they earned from the playoffs. None of that is given to the other schools. They got to keep all of that. So Pitt, they are in jeopardy. They are in trouble. They're telling everybody we need more money. Now they're not the only ones. Like there's a lot of other schools, especially within the ACC that are struggling. But Pitt is a program that had long historical program that has supported these Olympic sports for a long time. They have a long history of success in basketball, volleyball, and a bunch of other sports, wrestling. And they need to find a way to increase their funding either from the state or from the ACC. Last thing I'll say is they basically, some of the people in there kind of in those comments accused me of just, being a Penn State shill and hating on Pitt. Here's the thing with my job and my situation, I am a big supporter, JY knows this, of public education, especially in the state of Pennsylvania. My kids have gone to 3 different public universities in the state of Pennsylvania. With my job, I am involved in, visiting universities and working on some other things with universities. And I don't want to see any public university in the state of Pennsylvania struggle. People have heard my comments before about Olympic sports, and I think it's important that we find ways to continue to support those Olympic sports. And so that was kind of the gist of, and I'm telling everybody that Pitt is the one putting out the alarms saying, we need more help. And do all the public schools do that? Yes, they ask for more money, but the trend is becoming more of a panic, and they're laying out, they're showing this is why we need more money. Because if not, we're not going to be able to continue to support all these programs the way the revenue is being distributed in the ACC right now.
Well, so let me say 2 quick things on that, and then we'll get to the second comment. Number one, the Pitt is broke definite or title and kind of logo. That's on me. That's on me. If you want to call it clickbaity, you can call it clickbaity, but broke a bit of an a bit of a reach, at least for right now. But they are actively telling people not that they're broke, but they need help.
Yes.
Or things aren't going to be good for the athletic department.
Yes.
And I mean, I will sit here and tell everyone, Steve knows what he's talking about in that regard. Like Steve right now, and you mentioned you work within the state of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
You all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say anything more.
Higher ed oversight.
Higher ed.
Yep.
If there's a school that you probably know a little bit more about than any other university in the country, it would be Penn State, Pitt, those types of universities. Yep. Just going to throw that out there. All right.
All the way down to the Pashy schools, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where my daughter attends, and Kurt Signetti coached there. And yes, so I am very heavily invested in the public universities in Pennsylvania.
All right, here we go. So let me just throw up a couple things. We got our good friend, the one, the only, the infamous JEH is in the house.
JEH.
Little late, but better late than never. I agree. He also is giving a congratulations to the Mountain West on a new media deal. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. All right, let's get to the next one here, Steve. The next one is from a man that is currently watching us live, a good friend of the show, DJ David Jurgensen. It says, Steve, I don't know if this caught your attention, but while the big was voting on the equity money, it was mentioned the big schools would need to extend the membership agreement past either 36 or 38. I can't remember for sure, but if either of those years are truly in play, I wonder if that is when the big could trim some fat off the bones. As a side note, wink, wink. Did you see where Rutgers is roughly 517 million in the hole since joining the big? Wow, that gets back to Atomic Skull's comment a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So there's a couple things to unpack there. It's a shorter comment, but there's some good. He's packed some good juice in there.
DJ usually does.
He does. He's I would say he's one of our more intelligent and just experienced college football fan.
Absolutely.
He knows what's going on.
He's up on it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Rutgers first.
Okay.
Yes, Rutgers is having just terrible problems with their athletic department, even though they're in one of the more rich, the richest conference in the country. And I think there's like two main drivers of that. One is when they came in, they had, I think it was something like 10 years. It was multiple years, maybe approaching 10 years of reduced revenue disbursements.
Mm-hmm.
They came in not at a full share.
Right.
And honestly, I think it just was not good for either Pitt or Maryland. They both came in not getting the full amount of money. And from what I've heard, I think the Big Ten moving forward, if they do bring more people in, they are specifically going to avoid doing that.
Okay.
Because you're placing your new members in a financial hole right away and a disadvantage.
Significant disadvantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which that's going to hurt their performance on the field in all sports, field, the court, everywhere. And that takes me to my next point about Rutgers. Rutgers has not seen a lot of success in their different programs.
Right.
The men's basketball has been okay. Women's basketball has been okay.
Yep.
Really have not had any success in football since they came into the Big Ten. Nothing to speak of, and that's hurt them as well. So they're basically kind of they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They come into the Big Ten, get a smaller distribution than everyone else for multiple years.
Yep.
They're not successful on the field and on the court, which leads to they're not having the ticket sales and getting the revenue in from their own school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a double-edged sword. And I'll say the third thing is, New Jersey and Rutgers is a state school there. And there's probably been some not so great financial management by the university and also maybe from the state funding them, which again is common for a lot of public universities across the country. So I think more of like a triple whammy there. And so, yes, they are hurting. They're now finally getting the full share. I think last year was the first year that they got the full share, last year or the year before. But I don't see them doing great on the field anytime soon unless they were to bring in a Kurt Signetti type thing, and that would be amazing and has turned around the entire football program in Indiana. If they could do something like that at Rutgers, great. But if not, I mean, they're kind of floundering, and a lot of it I think is because of the Big Ten bringing them in at a partial share.
Well, Matt, who's a good commenter of our channel as well, he's in the house and he says, as the only Rutgers grad, in the house. The optics are awful as a state university, but was a necessity. So
I think he's talking about coming in at the.
yes, that was my assumption. He's talking about coming in at the lower chair. Yeah.
So that's Rutgers. Now, David, he brought up some other good points. When the deal was being discussed for PE, which I think that's mostly killed now, but we may see a similar deal come up. Yes, the Big Ten members needed to sign over their rights. I think it was an additional 10 years past where they were already 10 or maybe 15 years past where they were already had their rights signed over to like 2030, 2031. They would have had to do that. And I believe I've been asking about this. Big Ten is very unique. We've talked about this before, where the Big Ten network actually holds the rights, holds the TV rights.
Yes,
not the university. And the Big Ten network is a joint venture between the conference and the and Fox Sports, Fox Media Company, which is a very unique situation. So I think they would have had to change their relationship to be able to do this as well, or at least it would have made it a little bit more unique and strange because the schools, the conference don't own them outright. They kind of share them with Fox. So, but yes, they would have had to extend. And I think David asked with an eye on Rutgers, would that be the time to trim any fat? From what I understand right now, there is absolutely no plans by the Big Ten to cut any teams, any programs whatsoever. Now, if we do get into some future Super League type deal, maybe they don't make it into that. But if the Big Ten stays a conference as it is right now, there are absolutely no plans. There's no decision makers have any idea whatsoever or desire to cut anybody out. So not Rutgers, not Northwestern, nobody whatsoever. And so I know that's been kind of a thing that's been talked about for the SEC and the Big Ten, like maybe you get rid of a couple programs that are underperforming. But I don't, as far as I know, there's no desire to do that. It's kind of more of a fan theory or even a media theory, and is not really a part of the Big Ten and the way they think, the university presidents, the commissioners. And I will say a big part of that is, as we've talked about, the Big Ten, they don't just look at athletics. I mean, that's a huge part of it. It's academics as well. They have their Big Ten Research Consortium. Rutgers is a big part of that, just like all the other universities in the Big Ten. So no, I don't see that happening. Only time I could see like a Rutgers getting left behind is if the Big Ten football schools were to move out of the Big Ten structure and move into something new, then maybe Rutgers doesn't get an invite.
So Carla is in the house. She's another big supporter of the channel. I know she often retweets and shares our videos on X. So thank you, Carla. Good to have you here again. She says there's supposed to be a 10-year grant of rights extension for the Big Ten PE. DJ says this extension was with the big membership, not media rights. Big media deal timeline does not match the big membership contract. Well, and then Carla says, exactly. Remember, Indiana was underperforming until 2023. Now they're the current champion. And you kind of mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like, can Rutgers?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, who'd have thunk a couple years ago we would be sitting here saying Indiana is the king of the football world?
Exactly. And then there's so many things beyond that. It's just, I know it's something like you look at Rutgers, you look at Maryland, you're like, why do we even have them here for a Big Ten? But, I look at it, and I think most people in the Big Ten, actual decision makers, look at it as once you're in, you're in. You're part of the family, you're contributing, and you can contribute in other ways other than on the football field.
Well, I want to get to a couple things on the comments. Dwayne, good to have you here watching from southeastern Kentucky. Welcome aboard. Tyler asked a question. I want to make sure we get to it before I forget because we're getting other comments rolling in here. And then we'll get to your third of four comments on the Pitt Super League episode we did. But Tyler says, I have been seeing people talk about North Dakota State moving to the Mountain West on X. I was like, not yet. We have to wait until 2027. I think you guys agree with me. JYN Steve. I agree with you that if it's going to happen, the earliest it will happen is 2027. I think, it doesn't mean it can't happen for 26, but the minutes they are ticking, the seconds they are ticking. And I'm just not sure either side are prepared for any of that at this point. I think 27 absolutely is the earliest it could or would happen. I think I said that on the last North Dakota State update that I did. Maybe that was the live show last week that I said that. I don't know. It all runs together. People were talking about getting old in the chat, and let me tell you, JY's getting old too.
Same.
But anyway, so Tyler, yes, 27 absolutely would be the earliest in my opinion, and tis what it is. All right, do you want to get to the third one here?
Yeah,
Steve?
sure.
So the third one, let me get this full. Whoops, what did I do here? Got the wrong one up. There it is. All right, I'll read this one. This one was from David Hopkins, another good commenter on the channel. So shout out to David. He might be watching this in a little later. Steve and Joe, I thank you for this update. I am not surprised to hear the news about Pitt. Makes you wonder how many other schools in the bottom third of the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC will eventually have the same issues. Kind of supports that the Olympic sports should be regional to cut down costs instead of all this cross-country travel. I'm going to keep reading, but I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about this, Steve. I am opposed to private equity in college athletics. However, it would be fascinating to see what SC would do if they were focused on this issue. What's SC?
USC.
Oh, USC. Okay. I also heard from other sources that Notre Dame has been looking to form some type of alliance/conference with other private schools like Stanford, Duke, etc. You talked about that on that episode. 2 super leagues, ? Who knows? I do think it would be better than one. Competition is always better. JY says here to that. The Fox, NBC, ESPN media battle will have a huge impact on if this could ever happen. Good God, please do not let ESPN control college athletics! ! The G6 must have a home somewhere in all of this. Great discussion and great comment, David Hopkins. A lot there, Steve. Where do you want to start with that?
Well, let's start at the beginning of the supporting Olympic sports.
Yes.
Regionality.
Yeah.
Totally agree with David. I think I could definitely see a model and that I think makes sense where those top revenue sports, the men's and women's basketball, the football, participate in and continue to participate in more nationwide conferences, bigger conferences, but we see more regionality with the Olympic sports because it does not make, unless you are rich like Stanford's got more money than Oprah. Yes, you can do that, but most of these other schools just cannot do that. And really, so let's take Pitt as an example. They have wrestling, they have women's volleyball. I don't know what other Olympic sports they have off the top of my head, but it is very easy if you look at, okay, how could we make a regional schedule for Pitt where they did not have to travel even all the way down to Florida?
Sure.
I mean, you have schools within the state of Pennsylvania and in Ohio, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, and maybe like Western New York, where they could bus and have wrestling programs to compete, volleyball, women's volleyball to compete in. They don't need, and I use women's volleyball a lot. It's a very popular sport at Penn State and in the Big Ten, and I know that Pitt has a good women's volleyball program. Can you imagine? I mean, that program, it cannot be a huge revenue generator,
right?
And you're going to fly them to the West Coast 3 times a year to have them play, fly them to Texas, multiple trips to Florida, all over the country. I've seen what Stanford does with their program, Oregon. And yes, they want to have visibility for the program. They want to give these student athletes great experiences of going to these big tournaments and all that stuff. But at some point, if you have to choose between keeping the program running, because football has paid the bills for so long. Well, now we're in the era of revenue sharing and NIL,
right?
And you may have schools that can't do that anymore. And I think regionality for those Olympic sports, at a minimum, having a regional conference that they can play most of their contests in. And then if you're rich, if you're Oregon, you got Nike money, and you're Stanford and you got all that money, sure, send your team to the tournaments across the country. You got the money to pay for it. But for everybody else, they should have a means where they can still have a good competitive season, but not have to fly these non-revenue programs all around the country. And I think that will come.
Okay. Well, I hope it does. We're living a little bit in la la land, and it's really hurting some of these universities. I mean, we're talking about Pitt right now, but there's a ton of them that we could be talking about.
Absolutely. And what else?
He also said, so that was the first part. Then he got into private equity. He said it'd be fascinating to see what USC would do if they were focused on this issue. Also heard about the Notre Dame thing he mentioned, and then he talked about the super leagues.
Yeah. So I'm not really for private equity in the format that it was first proposed. But we've had some other people on. We've had some other discussions where maybe a conference can partner with a private equity company, not sell off a piece, but partner with them to create a new revenue stream. Have no problem with that. And honestly, and he's asking what USC would do if Big Ten goes to that. We talked about, I think, on part 1 of the episode, maybe it was part 2 actually, where Michigan had just hired the Syracuse University president. I think that makes it more likely that they were the big holdouts, and it was mostly their board of directors. I think it makes it more likely that University of Michigan would be open in some format to PE, but it sounds like USC definitely is not whatsoever. But they're going to be, if they don't have Michigan pulling with them, they're going to be out on an island. I can't really see them going anywhere unless something happens, like we talked about, where a kind of a coalition where Notre Dame puts something together. I think they are very interested in that, having like-minded schools like a USC, like a Stanford. Maybe if the SEC or ACC breaks up and they kind of continue to pair and cooperate with schools like Duke. You know, maybe that's another avenue for USC. But at this point, I think they would need a partner. Michigan and Ohio State hold the power in the Big Ten. That's just the way it is. If you don't have one of them, you're on your own on an island. But I do think that this is probably dead for a little bit, a year or two probably. And then honestly, 2 years from now, we may see examples from, let's say, the Big 12 or whatever, of ways where you can use PE to increase revenue streams, but not give away any of your control or autonomy at all. And so if the Big Ten were to go in that direction, I think that's the direction they would go, and not where they sell off a chunk. I think that might be dead.
JEH says that I'm still a spring chicken. I don't feel like a spring chicken, but he thinks that I am. What is the latest rumor that the SEC expands? And who is SEC looking to at that conference? Do you have any intel on the SEC?
So I really think that both the SEC and Big Ten are putting off expansion at least until like the 2030, 2031 time period. And honestly, we talked about Florida State. We've been talking about Florida State. We've been talking about Miami over the last couple of years. And I've always said that I thought FSU fits the kind of the mold of the Big Ten, the prototype school they're looking for. It's a public university, they have large research expenditures and that kind of stuff. And we kind of wondered about Miami. Would they get an invite by the Big Ten? Well, we saw the way the Miami performed this year in this new era. I could see a scenario where, and Florida State has not performed well the last couple of years. I think the Big Ten would still be interested in them. I'm not sure about the SEC, but I could see an area like if Miami continues to have success in this new era of NIL football, I could see a scenario where the SEC and the Big Ten are kind of fighting over them. We said before we didn't think that the Big Ten and SEC would fight over anybody because they wanted to get in different areas. I think one thing that's kind of changed in my mind, and maybe it's just because it's so recent with the national championship game, but is I think Miami could play their way into being a target of both the Big Ten and the SEC. But I don't really think either one of them is actively seeking anybody right now. I think they're both fine holding their cards until this next round of media deals and all that. Do you want to get to your last comment? Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to the last comment, and then we are going to get to some Mountain West discussions. All right, let's pull this up here. All right, this one is from Jason Roberts. He says Ross Dellinger. I say Dellinger. Anyway, Ross Dellinger's article about the conference breaking away as individual governance entity is getting more and more traction. The NCAA has been deemed illegitimate by a Supreme Court justice, and the courts have been stripping every authority away piece by piece. No, the universities aren't going to become employers of the players. Too much legality involved. It's going to be the conferences that ultimately become their own governance structure
and they will have the authority to make the rules, enforce those rules, and will be the employers. The Big Ten already has a plan to create a conference entity structure that would govern everything. It's coming.
Yeah. I don't know if I fully agree, but I also don't disagree with that. Okay. I think that, yes, I agree. There's a form of that is coming. We've already seen it with the Big Ten. They've created their like standard NIL contract that's held up so far, actually. They are really trying to kind of come together and govern themselves as a conference more. And we've seen kind of outrage from other schools around the country, governors and all of that, because basically it's still just a wild, wild west where the federal government is taking more and more, and some state governments are taking more power from the NCAA. And we see a player that was a former pro basketball player, played in the pros, is now starting for University of Alabama this year. So, I mean, if he can play, why can't anybody play? Why couldn't, Michael Jordan come out of retirement and play for UNC again? I mean,
yeah, right.
Yeah. So we're seeing even more of a wild, wild west that created by the different states. And we've seen absolutely nothing from the federal government other than a little bit of talk in committees, which I'm disappointed in.
Yeah.
And I kind of said from the beginning, I had no faith in Washington.
Yep.
It looked like I got up to 50-50.
You were getting up there
because
Immaculate was kind of pushing you from behind. You saw the door opening a little bit, and then bang.
And here we are, another election year. There's been actually nothing moving forward. And really, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's going to be like a fix-all is national legislation. And it looks like we're no closer to it.
Sure.
I don't think at this point.
Yeah.
So in that vacuum of power, NCAA can't do a damn thing.
Right.
States are just making up their own rules, and judges in different states are making up their own rules.
Right.
I do think the most likely thing is each conference kind of does their own governance thing. And we'll have to see how that works. But if nobody else is creating any kind of power structure and to enforce rules, I think it might be in the conference itself that's creating rules. So you don't see players within a conference going from team to team, breaking their contracts, things like that.
And that all sounds great. But instead of having athletes sue the NCAA, won't you have athletes sue the conference then?
Well, I think when he talked about employment, you may see one conference, you may see, like, let's say the Big Ten go to an employment model, and the SEC, which is based in states that are not big on like public unions or unions at all, do some other kind of thing, make them like the contractors and independent contractors, and they sign some kind of a contract. Who knows?
Let's say that happens.
Yeah.
Then wouldn't you have somebody in a Big Ten school that doesn't want to be an employee say, I'm actually an independent contractor, I'm suing you, Big Ten, and the complete opposite happened in the SEC where the kid says, I don't want to be an independent contractor, I'm actually employee SEC, I'm going to sue you.
So they could, but actually having different governance and different rules and different conferences actually would shield them from the antitrust laws. Because what is antitrust? It's the whole group of schools, NCAA. You have no other options. If you want to play major college football, you have to play under the NCAA's rules, and they're creating these rules that you have to play under. In that scenario where there's governance in different conferences, it's not an antitrust, because if I don't like the Big Ten's rules, I go play in the SEC's rules. So I'm not saying like that's a good, like it's going to be any better than what we have now, but I think it may come to be in the absence of federal legislation that creates something that can't just be sued, because it gets around the Sherman Antitrust Act and all those other antitrust.
Very interesting comment and discussion. I think we could talk about that for a very long time.
Yes.
And it actually sounds like something maybe Immaculate would be interested in discussing with us as well. So, well, that was fun, Steve.
Yeah.
It's fun to get some commenters on here. And
it is.
I like starting with a little zinger.
Yeah, we put out
shill.
We're not trying we're not trying to hide anything. We put the most negative comment on that entire video, 72 comments, most negative one. We put it up first, and we stood up here and answered it.
It made me excited. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought you were gonna giggle when you read it.
I was smiling.
Yeah.
All right, so back to some of the SEC. Everybody's got a thought on this. So JEH says UNC to the SEC. Killer Demo mentions Miami. Bill says GT is exceptional. I'm not sure if he was technically saying they're going to the SEC, but he says they're exceptional.
They are. I'd love to have them in the Big Ten.
He says Miami is still on the back burner. Moses says they need their own campus stadium.
Something we've talked about more than once.
Yes. What does this say? What's Carlos say? Front Office Sports just reports that Fox is rebalancing its budget to keep NFL rights. That means no money for anyone else.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I read Amanda's article.
Was it Amanda?
Yeah, she retweeted. I think it was.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, Carl, it's a good point to bring it up. It's possible if Fox has to spend more. I think somebody from Fox Sports said, hey, if we have to spend more, there's going to be more in NFL. There's going to be less to go around.
Sure.
And I agree with that, but I think they'll still find the money for the Big Ten and their top flagship brands. Could it hurt smaller conferences?
Yeah.
Yes, it could.
Well, the Mountain West maybe got theirs done in the nick of time.
There you go.
And that leads us to
good segue.
The Mountain West.
Yeah.
Great news coming yesterday. The Mountain West announced their media package after you've had some crazies on the socials saying they're not going to get one, which was always crazy. Of course, we always knew they were going to get one. And as I mentioned, I did my episode earlier today, dropped that, of course, recorded it last night, dropped it today. They continue with CBS Sports and Fox Sports. Really not a surprise. We've known CBS ever since Mountain West Media Days. That was confirmed to us. They would continue to be a partner. I always kept Fox there. Like, there was no reason to remove Fox Sports. And Commissioner Navarez, anytime she spoke about their media deals and packages, she always referenced the long-term relationships.
Yep.
That means CBS. That means Fox. I mean, she couldn't have been much more clear than saying we've got good long-term partners. And I'm sure they have been working with the Mountain West and back and forth for many, 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 many months. So no surprise at all in those two. I have been talking about those two for a long, long time. CW, though, that came as a very big surprise. Of course, some leakies came out about a day before where CW's name came up in several reports. It surprised me. I had been hearing ESPN might be that third partner. I frankly am happy that it's the CW because I didn't want anything to do with ESPN. I don't want ESPN Plus. I like the crap on ESPN. And to have me have to watch Mountain West games on ESPN, I kind of would have hurt a little bit. So I'm very happy that it's not ESPN. The CW is interesting, and it's the third member. I mean, it was clear in the package that CBS is the primary, as it is today. They're still the primary partner. They get first dibs. Again, we don't have all the details yet, but they get first dibs on the games that they want. Fox will get second dibs. CW will get the third dibs. And, you know, I mean, it's a CW. Like, did I like people they're trying to troll me on X? You
don't let the troll. Don't feed the trolls.
But I want to respond to just, you hated the CW when it was on the pack. You crapped on it all over the place. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't like the CW broadcasts. I didn't like I mean, they weren't horrible. JEH, I know if he remembers, we talked about it on a channel one time, and he's like, oh, it's not that bad. I agree it wasn't that bad, but I also didn't really like it.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that their production qualities continue to improve. Mm-hmm. Speaking of production qualities, right now it is said that the Mountain West, in coordination with the CW, is going to produce the games for the CW. I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, that means it's to be determined.
Yeah, they're going to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out. And somebody, does that mean the Mountain West is going to have a new production network? No, I'm 90% sure that's not going to be the case. They're not going to start up some Mountain West network channel that they're going to be able to produce games. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
My guess is they're looking for something else. And I just got to say, I'm going to get the kiss we here at the end, but I just got to say how powerful I think it was that they got this done as a package deal.
Yeah.
Because you can see the primary, the secondary, the tertiary. You can get to the streaming stuff, which we'll get to here in a minute. And it's all there for you. It's not piecemealed. And I'm not trying to throw shade at any other conference. But, man, this looks like a well-developed, well-planned, well-thought-out package that the Mountain West is going to move forward here into the future later this year. And I just think it was rolled out really well. It looks like it was put together very, very well. I'm going to get to streaming here in a little bit, Steve, but what are your thoughts on CBS, Fox, and CW?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy about CBS and Fox Sports, namely FS1, because I think both of those partners have done a fantastic job the last, 6-7 years of producing, carrying, promoting Mountain West. I love the CBS like the studio stuff that they do.
Yep.
They've done a great job with the Mountain West the last 5 years, and I think they will continue to do that. So for me, like, I would have been happy if you had half on CBS Sports and half on FS1. For me, I would have been good. Now, I understand your trepidations a little bit about CW. Just their production quality has not been great the last couple of years. I think I was easier on them than you were. You were comparing the TNT stuff, which was a lot better than the Turner Broadcasting, which they did a better job than CW did for their production stuff. But I do think there is, and I thought this for the PAC and for the ACC the last couple of years, and I think the same thing for the Mountain West going forward. I think there is a lot of value. Most people still bring up their channel guide and they start up there at the top.
Sure.
And on almost every channel guide in America, the first one of the first 5-6 slots is the CW. And so you it's noon, you just watch game day, and you're looking for a game, whatever. If you're out in the East Coast, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. You wake up, you're eating your breakfast, and you want to start watching football. Whatever, you go to the cable guide, or if it's 3 in the afternoon, whatever. And that's where you start. That's your starting place. And Mountain West games are going to show up there, just like ACC have in the past and PAC have in the past. And I think there's some good value to that. Hopefully they get the production stuff figured out and get improved. But for me, I was happy just seeing both CBS Sports and Fox Sports continuing. And I think the CW is just a little extra icing on the cake. It's going to give them visibility and all that. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say about streaming.
Yeah, well, a couple quick things on this. So I found out today a couple things that I didn't get on the episode that dropped earlier today. So first of all, in terms of Fox Sports, they showed it, and this is the only one I have on here. They had they had one for CBS, one for Fox, one for CW. I didn't clip all of them. I just have this one. But for Fox Sports, they listed Fox, FS1, and FS2. And I reached out today to a source, and they said that literally the words, very few games will be on FS2. I'm sure the vast majority, as we have had now for I don't know how many years, will be on FS1. If any get promoted to Fox, great. I'm not sure if any will outside of the championship game. Of course, they have the football championship game. If they pick one, that's great. CBS went from 3 games on the main network to 1. I had a little back and forth on who that might be. They love showing the academy games. To me, I think that it's going to be the Air Force next year. Navy travels to Air Force, so I think it'll be the Air Force Navy game that they pick. They may pick another one, of course, if there's a great P4 matchup. If you get UNLV early on against a really good team. I don't remember the schedules at this point. Maybe they'll pick that game, but to me, they want that Air Force game, the Air Force Navy game year after that Air Force Army, and that's what I think it'll be. But it remains to be seen. So they do lose, 2 games that are on the flagship CBS at a minimum, I should say. And I hear you about the CW. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. I love that they're maintaining their long-term relationships with their long-term partners. They know each other. It just works for everybody. The other thing I wanted to mention was scheduling, and this was the reason I did reach out to the source today, was about the scheduling, because some of people, we don't know what the schedule looks like. Are we getting more non-traditional window games? Is this a Thursday, Friday, 1-2 Saturday games? Like what are we talking about here? And the source said to me, next year is going to be very similar to what we have seen in the past few years. One Friday night game, if there's a Friday night game, the rest will be on Saturday. They didn't say anything about other non-traditional windows. So it sounds like the 26th schedule is going to be, in terms of when the games are played, very similar to what we've been used to. I personally love the Friday night games because it gets me to watch more Mountain West games.
Yes.
If it's your team, you're like, oh, I gotta, one guy was belly aching because he likes to drink at 2 p.m. to tailgate. And I'm like, sorry, I just want to watch as much Mountain West football as I possibly can. So give me one Mountain West Friday night game and I'm a happy camper. Yeah. Again, it's a different time. It gets potentially more viewers out there. So anyway, I wanted to just make sure we said the schedules look like they're going to line up pretty similar.
What was that time again for Friday night games?
It's usually in the evening, like 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple comments, and then I'll get to the streaming stuff. So Luke says having Mountain West choose Kiswe over ESPN Plus could be huge for them. Gangsta Glow betting on her league. I'm hearing that each school could add $1 million per year with Kiswe. I was surprised. Yeah, and I think it gives a lot of, I'll get into this if I remember a little bit more. I think it gives the schools a lot more with options in terms of how they want to use that, right? And there's still a lot to be figured out. I want to be really clear because I did have some follow-up questions about what about this? What about the tiers? What about this? And right now it's kind of like, hey, we're still figuring out that full model. So they're not ready to totally unleash what that looks like. Yes, I saw somebody mention, I believe it was Rumblings.
Rumblings does not want any Thursday games.
I don't think that, from what I was told, Thursday's not happening. He says he hates games behind a paywall. So let's get into the streaming thing. And I'll try to hit more comments here as much as I can. But so, people that want to throw shade at this, the very first thing they put out there is, what's Kiswe? What's that? Nobody knows what that is. I'm like, yeah, you probably don't know what that is. It's not a network. You're not going to go to the Kiswe app to watch a game. Kiswe is going to be what they call it, the power behind the Mountain West app. So a lot of people have had some complaints about the Mountain West app. The quality's not great. Sometimes they have some connection issues, all that. Kiswe's coming in and revamping, basically running the Mountain West app. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be, what do they call it? Skins. So like if I wanted to do it through Wyoming, I could pick Wyoming as my team. When I go into the Mountain West app, it's going to be skinned with Wyoming stuff. Mm-hmm. There's going to be stats available. Like this is a humongous step forward in the evolution of the Mountain West app. So the quality is going to be better. What you're seeing from this is going to be way better. I get people saying they don't really like the paywall piece, but it's kind of like where we're at today. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I loved the free Mountain West app. Hell, we stream the Mountain West app on our channel, for crying out loud. I'm guessing that's probably going to end next year, but we'll have to wait and see if we can work something out. So I understand that paywall piece, but I think the fact that, and it gets back to Luke's comment, like this is direct money to potentially to the universities. Yep. They also said, if the university wants to stream a game on their website, stream the game on your website. It's
your game.
Yeah, like it's your game. It's your sport. So I think there's going to be flexibility between, okay, we want to try to maximize the revenue of this thing versus, hey, we actually are more interested in the exposure side of this. So we're going to allow more content on our website. Of course, you can now get this on the Prime. Prime Video, which I think is also huge. So you have to understand what Kiswe is, so you can understand what it means for the conference. A lot of people just want to throw shade because they don't know what it is. Yeah. Used by NBA teams, professional sports teams. It's a big deal. We're gonna have to wait and see what it looks like. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm excited for it. I absolutely is a step in the direction where everything is heading, and the Mountain West wants to be a part of that.
Yeah, so I'm a Big Ten fan. If I want to watch there's like, I don't know, 7 games a year that I have to pay. If I want to watch, I have to pay for Peacock. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
If you
want to talk about a paywall.
Yeah, exactly. if you're an SEC fan and I think ACC fan, you have to buy ESPN Plus if you want to watch some of the games.
Yep.
Just everybody has gone in that direction. And I'll say, from the Big Ten's perspective, like they have the Big Ten Network and they do Big Ten Plus online, and they're on like the Fox Sports platform, and that has built a huge amount of value for the Big Ten and for those teams, for those programs. So to me, I think it's just a natural step. They're I don't want to say catching up, but they're coming into the what TV is in 2026.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's only going to continue to advance in that direction. I appreciate you bringing up, with the Big Ten, what you have to deal with.
Yeah. So
like, I got a G6 school. You're talking about the Big freaking 10 right now.
I got, for all the sports I like to watch under the Big Ten, I got to buy Peacock. I got to buy BTN Plus. I mean,
right. Just. So has a Mountain West game ever been on FS2? I think they've only been on when they have some crossover stuff, like for the start of a game. You know how that is. Like, this game's starting now, but we're going to show you the end of this game. Yes. You can watch the beginning of the whatever game on FS2, and as soon as they can cross over, they do. ESPN does that with ESPNU and ESPNU. So that type of thing. Has a full game been broadcast on FS2? Not to my knowledge. But FS2, I don't think it's that old, is it? I don't know when it started.
It's been around a long time, but they don't generally put a lot of football on there. They put like exports type stuff on there. They really only reserve FS2 mostly, like you're talking about, where if there's like a conflict, a game runs over or something like that. Other than, they do put a few games on there, but they try not to put football on there.
Okay. So again, very few, maybe if any, but very few. Carla says, glad to hear that they will be on FS1 over FS2. That's what I have been told.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I don't know if you want to put his comment up. JEH.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm trying to get caught up.
Gotcha.
No more free streaming. Right. Correct. So the Mountain West app will not be free anymore unless the schools provide access through their website. That's my understanding. So, if it's just JY wanting to watch a game and, it's not on the Wyoming website, then I got to pay for it. Yeah. So I would say by and large, JEH, yes, no more free streaming.
He has a great comment.
So can you confirm that Kiswe will produce CW content? Rumor I heard, can't confirm. So the source that I have in the Mountain West did not say Kiswe is producing the games. Kiswe is a streaming platform. I would be really surprised if it's Kiswe. And I think if it was, we would know that right now. And that's not what they said. So, Luke, I do not think it's Kiswe producing the CW games. I don't even think they have the capability to do that, to be honest with you. All right, I'm getting there. Is this the one you want? How much money Kiswe will is this the one?
Yep.
Will provide Mountain West will depend on how many subscribers. 100%.
Yep.
That's 100%. And it kind of gets back to, I think Luke said, they're kind of betting on themselves a little bit. And I still say the flexibility's there for the school. And if the school says this, again, this is my understanding. If the school says we don't want to have our fans have to pay the subscription, we're going to provide whatever game is on the Mountain West app. We're going to provide to them on our website. My understanding is they can do that.
Yeah.
That's up to the school. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see a school or two, and maybe eventually all of them, do that for football. That wouldn't surprise me.
And while you're watching our game, there will be links on the side where you can donate to
Absolutely.
NIL.
They'll probably have ads on it for all we know. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's the way of the world.
Yes. So I want to comment on that real quick. So like, and here's the thing. So you're a Wyoming fan. We have Rebels fans on here. If you want to support Wyoming, you want to support the Rebs, you can subscribe to this and financially support them. That is basic, and you'll have the skins and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That is the way. Just like for me, I can get a Big Ten Plus subscription and then do it as a Penn State subscription and see all Penn State content, and some of that revenue then goes to Penn State supporting them. Now, someone else, and I get it. I think it's rumblings. He's like, "Oh, I'm out if I have to pay," which I get. That's just,
he says radio for the win.
There you go. Totally understand. And you know what? When I was a kid, my parents didn't pay for cable until I moved out of the house because they said, "I'm not paying for TV. TV's free. It's over the air." Blah blah blah. And then the minute I moved out, they started paying for it.
Yes.
And that was in the 80s and 90s, and now here we are in 2026. Right. And there's going to be some people that it's a market choice. They could just say, "I'm not paying for it. I'll follow it on the internet. I'll do whatever." But this is a new way. There'll be a lot of people that do adopt it because maybe they only care about their team and don't care about the rest of the Mountain West, and they want their Wyoming skin and their Wyoming stats, and they're going to watch Wyoming games. And this was a great product for them. And again, it's something that the other conferences have had. It's an potential extra source of revenue. And it's just a part of the times.
And dare I call it, this is going to throw a little shade, Steve, dare I call this transformational?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the Big Ten's already doing it, but from a G6 conference, it's a new endeavor for them. Like the Mountain West hasn't done this before, right? So, they're kind of transforming the streaming side of things. And I appreciate this comment from JEH because you got to kind of keep it all in perspective here. He says, just sorry to tell some people that the Pac-12 Olympic sports, extra extra men's basketball and women's basketball will most likely be done by Pac-12 enterprises behind a paywall to increase money for Pac-12 teams.
And that goes back, that kind of reinforces and just fills out the argument of what we were talking about before of, especially we'll say, not the P2, but anything below them.
Sure.
They have to find creative ways to support these Olympic sports.
Absolutely.
Can't just rely on football to pay the bills anymore. And this is a way, again, if you're a volleyball fan or Oregon State, the Beavs, they're a baseball team. They
Absolutely.
One of the best baseball teams in the country.
Yeah.
And if you're a Beavs fan, you want to watch the baseball team, like this is the perfect way to do it. I mean, I know that's in the pack, but same thing in basketball, UNLV basketball or Lobos basketball fans. This is a way you want to watch those extra games that aren't on TV. You can support your program and still get to watch those games.
Carla says, see if the Big Mountain can be a preferred Mountain West streamer. That would be transformational too if the Mountain West relies on its brand advocates. Carla, sounds like a phone call's in order.
Yeah.
And I think with that, I will just remind everyone we have a request out for Gloria Nevarez to join us again. Would be the third time. I have been told that the interest is there. Definitely want to make it work. Don't have it scheduled yet. We have given them some times that work for us, but she's traveling this week, as commissioners do. And as soon as we can get Commissioner Nevarez on the channel, we are going to do that. Of course, we'll probably be pretty focused on this media package with some questions that, maybe we can get answers to. They may not have answers yet. And, this tiered model, I actually asked the question, and it gets back to something you said, I think, about the Big Ten. I asked, is the two tiers going to be like school specific or sports specific and like everything? So tier one is, hey, I just want Wyoming sports. I don't want everything else. Right. I just want when a Wyoming team plays, I'm going to pay the tier one and I can watch Wyoming with my Wyoming skin and that's it. And tier two obviously is everything.
Yeah.
Or it could be, hey, I only want, football's not great because there's a lot of linear, but I only want baseball. Somebody mentioned how good Killer Demo mentioned how good the baseball for the Pac is going to be. I only want Pac baseball.
Right.
I only want that tier. I don't want everything else.
Right.
So what we have to wait and see. They don't have answers for that yet. I'm sure the second tier is everything. There's going to be a smaller tier. We don't know what that is yet. There's a couple more here. Okay, so we're down here to, which one is this? Well, it didn't come up. Oh, here it is. Sean, he says, is it true legacy members in the Mountain West get more of the TV deal and newer members get less? If so, 3 million range isn't accurate across the board. So what has been said thus far, and Nevarez made a comment to The Athletic here just a few days ago, that legacy partner or legacy members will get the $3.5 million. We already know NIU coming in at football only is getting something less. UTEP was already said to be coming in at a phased level anyway.
Yep.
So will they be phased up to where a legacy member is? Maybe. Will they be phased up to only 90%? Maybe. Hawaii, they're coming in as a full member now too. We don't have those answers. The only answer that we have been told is that the legacy members will get the 3.5. With that, I just want to say anything that you're hearing right now about value is rumor. I know I talked about the Wyoming information. That wasn't rumor. That was literally in their budget document. Yeah. $1 million less. That was an estimate. I have been told by a source,
planning for worst case scenario,
as you do in a budget, that 3.5 million may not be the number. It may actually be higher. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying that I would not believe the rumors of this doom and gloom 2 million, 2.5 million. It might be that, but it's all rumors. It's all speculation. The only thing we know, legacy partners will get $3.5 million. So yes, Luke kind of said the same thing. Other members will start lesser. Every year they'll move up and get, again, typically new members, they get phased in. You just talked about that with Rutgers earlier in the episode, Rutgers and Maryland.
Yep. I would skip the comment by the one that ends in 7184 because we don't need any peeing contest tonight.
Yes, so these are the legacy members: Wyoming Air Force, New Mexico, UNLV, Nevada, San Jose State. Okay, Luke, maybe Hawaii isn't. I'm not sure because they were not a full member before. So yes, to me, Hawaii, I don't know. Maybe a question for Gloria. Is Hawaii considered a legacy member or not? I don't know. Prime Video. Yes, let's get to that here in a minute. But our good friend, Justin with the Wyoming Cowboys, comes in with another $20 super chat because that's what he does. He's trying to fund Steve's damn drone.
That's right.
I don't mind paying for online streaming if the money goes to the university of choice to benefit their programs. We all know that these contributions should go to Wyoming. So be generous and subscribe. Laugh out loud. Justin. Thank you, Justin. And I've seen a lot of that type of comment that say, I don't mind the subscription if the dollars are going to the university, going to my university.
Right.
And that's how this has been rolled out. I mean, that is what's in their press release, is that the subscription money, I don't know if it's 100%, but I'm sure the vast majority of it is going to be going to the university that you choose. You're going to pick who you want. You're going to and they're going to get the money. It's a really cool way to kind of, call it up your donation revenue as well, right? I mean, I don't know if they're going to look at this as media money or donation money. Either way, they're getting more money.
Absolutely. So, and you're getting something for it. When you just make a donation, you write a check, you're not getting anything back.
True. Right. So you're hopefully getting dubs on the field.
Well, yes, hopefully.
Which for Wyoming, they haven't had too many of the last couple of years. But I don't want to throw shade at my team. But Justin coming in with another super chat. Always so gracious. Always appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. I also want to give a shout out to anybody up there in Wyoming, although I know Justin doesn't live in Wyoming right now. But I will likely be on the radio on Friday morning with Dahl Erickson. Unfortunately, I don't remember which channel he's on. I want to say he's in Casper, maybe.
I bet you'll put out a tweet about it.
I will definitely put out a tweet about it.
JY's Twitter.
But I will be on in the morning on Friday. He wants to talk about, go figure, the media deal.
Yeah, that's great.
So shout out to Dahl. Thanks for him for inviting me on again. I was on one other time.
I want to point out real quick. I want to shout out Luke Fletcher. I follow him on Twitter. He's a great. He's very knowledgeable and he's a great follow on Twitter. So if any of our other, you should be following him. Following Luke on Twitter for sure.
All right, so let's get back to Prime Video, Las Vegas Lair. So yes, in their release, Mountain West app on Prime Video. It says that's going to happen here in the fall. There's two ways to read this. The way I read this is if you have Prime Video, you're going to have access to the app. That's how I read it. There's other people saying, well, you get access to the app, but you still have to have a subscription to the Mountain West app in order to view it on Prime Video, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And the way it's written up, it reads as if, it says this fall we will be on Prime Video. Well, they're not going to release this as something new.
Right.
If all it is, well, you can get access to the damn app on your, whoop-de-freaking do.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm reading it as a Prime Video subscription or a Prime subscription.
Yeah.
Will get you access to this.
And Amazon does these kind of deals all the time where, okay,
Right.
you subscribe to us. Now you have this. They want to bring, it's a way for them to bring in more subscribers from other parts of the country that they, don't already have subscribers.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, I thought it was pretty clear when I read it. But sometimes I read things incorrectly.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. Well, that's another question we can maybe ask Commissioner Navarez about the Prime Video deal, but I'm not sure why they would put it in their release if there wasn't some sort of connection, right, to that. So, all right, Steve. Well, I hit the new couple nuggets that I wanted to get out there about the schedule, about FS2. And as I said, I think, the fact they did this as a package, it looks like it's really well planned, put together. The streaming piece, huge step forward in that. It was interesting to me. I saw, the CW ends a year before the other deals do.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends a year before the grant of rights ends, which is kind of seems a little awkward, but I guess, that's what they could agree to. And that's what they were comfortable with. And probably at that point, if the CW wants to get out of showing college football, they can leave the pack in the Mountain West at the same time. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But, hey, we're going from 2 to 3. It's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going from what some would call poor quality app to what I think is going to be a pretty darn good app with KissWe. I mean, they are high level. So I don't know how people can be excited about this. I think from what I've seen, most Mountain West fans are. The biggest kind of complaint is that, pay for it model for the app. And we'll see what the cost is. I don't expect it to be outrageous, but you never know.
And I mean, and it's only a big deal because they've been kind of spoiled for a little while getting it for free. Let's be honest. We get it for free for a while. Most other streaming apps across the country, you pay. I mean, this is the way it goes now.
All right. I don't know these shows. Maybe you do. Prime Video, home to shows like Fallout and Rings of Power. Do you watch any of this?
Really good. Watch Fallout. It's absolutely fantastic. And Rings of Power is the new Lord of the Rings. It's a series. It's pretty good.
Okay. I think what's Fallout about?
Fallout,
like a nuclear war.
Yeah, there's a video game, Fallout, and it's basically the on-screen, like they turned that into a TV series, and it's great. It's really good.
Well, maybe I'll start watching that then.
Yeah,
because my wife, we have Amazon Prime because of my wife first, not because I want to watch anything.
Is that why those little packages show up on the porch?
That's what it is.
Oh, another super chat from Luke.
Appreciate it, Luke. Please ask Commissioner Gloria about Mountain West Conference producing its own games of coordination. Is it Raycom Pac-12? Totally. Yep. We're on it, Luke. I am. We will stay on that. As soon as we get information about that, we will definitely put that out. Thank you for that super chat, Luke. Really, really appreciate that. And I'm gonna, honestly, I think of questions, and I just send an email, and man, they get right back to me. It's great. It's like they like me.
And I think so.
So with that, hey, thank you, sir. Great show. This channel is great, seriously, for fans of realignment drama.
I got a little thing to throw out.
Okay, you throw it out, and then we're going to end it.
So today on Twitter, I was interacting with Immaculate and Genetics. We were having this talk.
Okay.
These new rankings came out of top universities in the world. Okay?
Oh, in the world?
In the world, yeah.
Oh.
So we have like Oxford University comparing to American universities and stuff. Okay. Top universities in the world. A lot of it was based on research universities, like how much research they do, all of that. It was heavily weighted towards research universities, which I think is a good thing.
Sure.
When we look at U.S. News and World Report's rankings, they are not towards that. They're geared towards like affordability and all that kind of stuff. Which to me, your university can be great and maybe it's expensive, but it's a great university.
Yeah.
So that's how U.S. News ranks theirs. This is geared towards research dollars and just being just very, very good university, even if you want to be super, super expensive.
Okay.
And I saw UC Davis.
Okay.
So like UC Berkeley was up there.
Okay.
Really high. UCLA, USC. But I was a little surprised that UC Davis came in, I think, like definitely top 30, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
Universities in the world.
Woo.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to mention it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep.
We got to bring up a new Mountain West member on the channel. So with that, thank you to Luke Fletcher. Thank you to Just Justin for the super chats. And thank you for tuning in to a live episode on the Big Mountain. Had a lot of fun, Steve. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. We do this every Wednesday night. Would love to have you back here next Wednesday. And with that, I'm going to hit the end stream, and we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.